Because you want to say it's not
as immediately accessibly interesting as
it's
the
not.
Pinchas story.
It's more nerdy.
Yeah, it just seems boring.
What can I say? It's interesting.
What do you find interesting about how many bulls you sacrifice on each
Because
day?
you try to imagine that you're standing in the base of Migdash, right? And they're bringing in these cattle, and try to imagine them getting shechted, and the blood's coming off of them, and try to visualize this whole scene with lots of mooing and screaming and animals moving around and blood flowing, and they're heating up the stuff on the barbecue, and the smells go around, and all these people are getting ready to chow down, and it's like, it's like 4th of July. It's like a 4th of July barbecue out there, for those people about to have a barbecue, and this is what's going on in the base of Migdash every day. And, you walk in the base of Migdash, it's just like a full 3-ring circus of lots of animals being shechted, and then the smell of steak, and ribs, and on the cooking it. I don't know.
I'm vegetarian, so maybe
you're a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Oh, this part's just not for you at all.
Are Israeli lesbians as homely as New York lesbians?
I just don't know.
But I mean, Israelis are better looking, don't you think?
Oh, what's that?
Than American Jews.
What's that?
Generally
Israelis?
speaking. Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nah.
No, not necessarily.
The good thing about American,
but at least they got really big guns.
Well, the thing I like about American Jewish women versus like Israeli ones is that at least they shave their armpits, and they'll shower more than once a week.
But the Israeli ones are so much tighter.
I wouldn't know.
I mean, no, you see them walking down the street. They're not nearly as like American Jewish women really start packing on the pounds. I mean, some of them do it subtly. They wait till you get married, and then they add 3 pounds every year.
When I used to live in the state of Israel, I used to ride the Egged bus, and there's always Israeli women, and they have a halter top or whatever, and you could tell they haven't showered in a week, and they would just hold that. And you'd see a whole forest growing out, and it stunk to high heaven, and it's I don't want to be married to that.
Yeah. I like women to shave their armpits.
Yeah, shave your armpit, take a bath, honey.
But exercise is good. These Israeli women who join the army and they carry these guns around. I mean, they're tight. They're in great shape because they're running around with weapons. And I'm there with these American women who are really getting flabby and hitting the wall. Have you noticed how a woman will be really hot and then a year later, or 3 years later, she's just hit the wall? Have you ever thought about that? They just suddenly boom. One moment they're on top of the world, all these guys want them. They're just in totally high demand, and then suddenly something happens, or a year later, and then boom, I see all these women who've rejected me and shunned me and wouldn't date me, and then boom, some of them they just hit the wall and they crash and burn. Sometimes 25, sometimes 35, sometimes 29. But do you have any thoughts on women who crash and burn, hit the wall, and suddenly one day they're hot and the next day they're never hot again?
Well, I think that maybe childbirth might have something to do with that. Or these women that had kids?
Sometimes, but sometimes no. I don't have it with me. I just read this great book, Marry Him, The Case for Settling for Mr. Goodenough. And it's so delicious because it's this 43-year-old Jewish woman's tale of all these great guys who she's kind of let go because she thought she could do better. Now she's 43, and it's really hard to find a date with anyone she finds remotely attractive. When women are young, they have the power, but once they hit that wall, crash and burn, they don't have the power as much, particularly if they're single. If they're married, then we're talking about a whole new dimension of relationship that neither you or I have experienced.
Well, I think that married women, especially in the frum world, will have kids and they'll start getting heavier. I've seen that.
Yeah, and that's fine because they're married and and it's not just a physical relationship anymore. But I'm talking more about single women who want to get married
and
they have all the power, and then suddenly it's gone.
They start getting weight. I haven't really. To be honest, I haven't really noticed that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I just haven't noticed so much that a single woman who's. I don't know that many single women that make it to my age. Still single. Yeah. I don't really know that many. We talked about during the interview that I'm looking for a woman who's never had kids. So basically, I'm looking at the group that you say has all the power. Because after they hit 25, they all get married, they all start having kids, whatever, right? So the ones who I'm looking at are always under 25, and you know.
Yeah, they still got it.
Yeah, and they look pretty good. I don't know. I've never really, ran around chasing women who are all my age because they usually have all.
You'd want to do that.
I mean, maybe you're open to women that I'm not open to, is what I'm thinking.
I'm sure I'm definitely open to women you're not open to.
Okay, because the women who are my age, who are single, they're divorced, or they're widowed, or something. They have a kid, and then I'm not interested in them. So I don't know. I could get in a lot of trouble here, though. I'm sure.
Yeah, we got some
What's going on?
unhappy comments in the chat room. So how old am I? I'm 44.
He's 44.
So God commands a census, so we shouldn't get paranoid.
I'm almost 50.
So we shouldn't get paranoid about the U.S. conducting a census. I mean, God's all for a census, right? So the U.S. conducts a census. That's totally cool, right? Rabbi?
Yeah, what? Somebody said, Leslie said, we're not here we didn't come here to criticize women. Yeah, I hear that.
But the Torah has no problem with a census. Torah commands a census. The U.S. is having a census.
The U.S. is having. Oh, you read my thing.
We shouldn't get all paranoid about a census.
Oh, you're talking about my thing.
Go ahead. Say
Okay.
what you like about census.
Census. There's two aspects to the U.S. Census. Okay. There's the aspect of legality, like how far they can go. It's like, and then there's the aspect of what if you don't comply? What are they doing to you, right?
Yeah.
The question of how far they can go, right? Like, it started off, the census was, let's just count everybody, and we have, like, in Judaism we have the half shekel. When everybody gives a half shekel, then you count how many there are, and you know how many Jews there are, right? Great idea. Right? They don't find out, nobody knows who gave them, nobody knows the person's name, right? And that was what the founding fathers of the United States wanted to do, right? They wanted to have...
I'm monitoring it, so you keep going with your point.
Okay, so they wanted to have a way to know how many people there were so they could apportion, congressional districts.
Mm-hmm.
How many congressmen to give, or congresspeople to give to each district. And somehow that ballooned over the next 200 years, and now they send you a questionnaire, which I got, and it asked me, how much am I paying for my rent? How much am I paying for my gas bill? How much money do I make? And what color is my skin? And you know what? I was waiting for them to say, who did I bang the night before?
Who did you bang?
And it's like, it's none of their fucking business.
Yeah.
And I'm not answering these things. This is like stalker information. This is like the kind of information that you give to somebody if you want identity theft. This is not the government's business, and I refuse to be part of that. And I took that thing and I shredded it. And I'm not going to be part of that. Now, somebody pointed out to me, they did some research, and they said the courts have tested this, and it doesn't go against the Constitution to ask these questions. Well, you know what? Fine. So they have a right to ask these questions, right? I'm not going to be part of it. I'm not going to be part of it. Yes, it's Din Malchusa Dina, that you have to follow the law of the land. But you know what? I'll wait till this gets to the Supreme Court, because they're going to test this thing and they're going to see that it fails. They just have to get the right Supreme Court composition and test all this, because I'm not going to be part of it. I feel that my safety is at risk here, and I don't trust the Census Bureau. And why should I? The Census Bureau took the same information, took information from the Japanese people, and then they turned it over to the rest of the government to have them all rounded up and put in the internment camps in 1942. So why should I trust the Census Bureau? I don't trust the government. The government is not something I trust. I see them as incompetent at best and malicious at worst.
Did you ever go to those 20-something or 30-something evenings at Isha Torah?
No.
So I used to go to those, and you won't believe this, but I would talk in the same way I'm talking to you, and I would just offend women right and left, and they kicked me out. Could you believe that?
They kicked you out of Isha Torah?
Yeah, could you believe that? Like, I
No,
would
they
go to
kicked you out
this.
because you have a beard.
This was 15 years ago, before the beard, but like the way that we're talking now, you can't talk this way around women because they get offended. Like, they're really blunt.
Oh,
Blunt.
you know what? That's probably because you have like an Australian build-up. You grew up Australian, and Australians I found are just not PC at all. Australians tend not to be PC. They just tend to just like say it and they just let it fly. And Americans can't deal with that. We're very PC oriented. Our TV is very restricted.